everyone, and welcome back to Imagination Arts. Just wanted to tell you really quick, first of all, I am not at home. I am in a hotel room in Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm here on a business trip with my husband. He had to come here for a day or two on business, and I decided to come with him because there is an awesome restaurant here inside of a hotel nearby that we just love to go to when we are here. If anybody has ever been to Bossier City, you know about the Margaritaville Hotel here at Bossier City. And inside of the Margaritaville Hotel, there is an amazing buffet called the World Tour Buffet. And inside, it's called the World Tour Buffet for a reason. They have food from all over. You name it, they have it. They have Mongolian, Chinese, American, and I mean, anything you could want. Crab legs, unlimited, all you can eat crab legs. Love the crab legs. But in addition to that, they also have an awesome, their dessert area is just huge. I mean, desserts galore. And so on that note, that any opportunity I get to come with him to Shreveport so that we can go there to eat, I take the chance. So I came with him this week to Shreveport, and as I said before, I had already shot a video for this week, but I had not shot the opening for it. And so I decided that I would do the opening here at the hotel in Shreveport, and I'll kind of give you a little tour of my room and everything towards the end of the video. And so and with that, let's go ahead and get to this tutorial video and this lion's eye. Okay, first off, we're going to start off with yellow, and as you can see, you want to make sure that you've got your pencils with a good, sharp, fine point on them so that you get lots of pigment down into the teeth of the paper. And I'm just going in small circles here with my yellow, filling in the iris of the lion's eye. I know it looked like I was going back and forth, but I was actually doing small ovals. Now I'm going to switch to my kind of forest or light green. It's kind of a bit between a forest and a green. I'm just kind of going in there and putting some of that green down there in the eye where there was green, where I bring some of that green color of the lion's eye in. Going in again, fixing the lead because the lead broke and I had to sharpen the pencil again, and as you can see, it keeps breaking on me. And with these cheaper pencils and with the hard, and especially pencils with hard lead, that happens quite a bit. So I'm just going in there and getting some of that green down in the eye. And that's the thing with anything that you're doing, is you want to don't go with just one color. Look at it really close. Zoom in on what you're working on. Have a reference photo and zoom in on those areas that you're working in, and so you can really see all the detail and the coloring in there. Because from a distance, your eye wants to just focus on one color, but when you zoom in, you can see that it's not all just one color, that there's many colors there. And by adding all those other colors, that's what helps you get the depth and the realistic look there. Right now I'm just getting my black out. I just received my new black Faber-Castell Ploychromos black pencil. Opening it and getting it out of the package. And you will find that you will go through your black pencils
like really quick, especially if you work with wildlife and things that have a lot of shadow. Right now I'm switching to my Caran D'ache Luminous White, and I'm just going in and putting in there where the areas where the lion's eye had some white in the fur around the eye, so that way I won't get any pigment in that area. And that's one way of getting highlights and getting areas that are lighter than others, is you can either leave the paper white there, and to help you do that, you can go in with a white pencil and put some of your white pencil down there, and that will help you in keeping that area white and not getting any additional coloring in there. Now I'm filling in the area under the eye with my black, and I'm putting some of those little lines in there and bringing that into the eye for the shading and the detail in the eye, and then filling in the pupil. Just filling in the area around the eye now where he had the black fur underneath his eyes and surrounding his eyes. And again, and when you see me pause for a minute and stop drawing, I'm looking over at my reference image on my laptop and looking to see where I need to add things at. Moving over and putting some little dots of black, little black sections of fur, little dots of fur in the areas where I see that he has just little specks of black in his fur. Now I've got my brown, and I'm just going in and under the top of the top eyelid and putting some of that shading in there. And I used a light brown for that, to get some of that brown in there, because he had some brown in his eyes. And like I said, when you look really close and you zoom in on those images, you can see that there's different shades and tints and colors of different colors in there. Now I've got my smaller brush that I dipped in my odorless paint thinner and just blending that all out. Dipping it in the paint thinner again and wiping it off on a towel or a paper towel to get the excess off. And just continuing to blend that eye a little bit until I get it looking the shade that I want it, that it needs to be. Now while I'm letting that dry, I'm going back and getting another pencil. Now I've gotten my darker brown pencil, and I'm going in and just putting in the areas where his fur is a darker color. And you want to just do, when you're doing fur around on animals around their nose and their eye, you're going to see that the fur is just a little bit is shorter, and so when you're doing the fur, you're going to want to do do the just short little lines, and you want them to go in the direction. You want to look at the fur really closely and look at the direction that the fur is going in, and you want to do just short little lines going in that direction of the fur in your reference photo. Again, putting in some of those little spots where there was specks of black in the fur under his eyes. Again, continuing to look at the reference photo and seeing again at where everything is at. You don't have to get it exact. If you don't have every little speck of black in there in the fur where the reference photo does, it's not going to matter. No one's going to notice it. You just want to have it as close as you can. Now I've switched to a cream color pencil to go in there and just kind of bring in some of those areas that have a little bit more color, where the fur is not so much brown, but it's more of a tan or a cream color. And just going in and filling all those areas in. Again, you want to keep just your lines going in the direction that the fur is going, and you want to also, put it where it should be. Again, going in, putting in those dark areas with the darker brown. Going in and just putting in all those little short hairs in the darker hairs in the directions that they're going in the areas where they were at. Now I've got my white and I'm going in there under the eye, brightening up the areas where it's much more whiter, putting in some highlights in the eyes and highlighting the area, the highlight in the dark around under his eye. Now I've switched to my cream colored pencil again and going in and putting in all the fur around his eye with that cream colored pencil. And then once I've got all the fur, the lighter fur down, then I will go back in again with the darker brown and put in the areas that need to be darkened. And I'm just continuing to go in and put that fur down with that lighter cream pencil. And again, making sure that I'm putting the fur, just up putting a bunch of drawing a bunch of lines on the picture, I'm checking the reference photo and making sure I'm getting those lines going in the direction of the fur. Again, continuing to check that reference photo, making sure I'm got my fur going in the direction that it needs to go. I know in places it looks like I'm just kind of scribbling back and forth in areas, but I'm actually just putting in like really short lines, and if you look, you can see where I pick up my pencil with each line that I'm drawing. And again, like I said, I'm not just drawing a bunch of lines all over the image. I'm putting little short strokes, curved strokes, going in the direction that the fur is going in from my reference photo. And again, it's very important that you always have a reference photo to go by. You can have some artist discretion and change some things up in places, or maybe different, use different coloring for the fur and things like that. But for the realism and for the depth of the picture, you really want to make the strokes go in the direction that they are, and not just do a bunch of scribble, not just draw a bunch of lines on the picture or do a bunch of scribbling on the image like a coloring book. You really want to do this like a painting, and each pencil stroke is a stroke of the brush, like if you were painting. And then when you blend that out with your paint thinner and your brush, it makes it look more smoother and actually softer, and the pencil strokes, those short pencil strokes for the fur, make it look like it's actual fur and not just something that was colored in. Okay, going in and looking at that reference photo and continuing to put in more fur around the eye. And as you can see, that the further away I get from the nose area and the eye, further up towards the top of his head, my pencil strokes get longer, because like I said, the hairs around the eye and down close to the nose are going to be the shortest, and so those you want to be short. But as you get up closer to the top, the hairs tend to get longer. And now that I've gotten all of the lighter fur drawn in, now I'm going back in with that brown and putting in the darker areas where there were patches of darker fur, as well as going in and putting in a few darker pieces of fur here and there where there was just, like spots of like darker fur showing through, not so much as a section or a patch, but just little darker hairs or darker strips of fur showing through the lighter areas. Again, I'm checking that reference photo, looking to see where I need to add additional plate patches of darker fur around the eye. Continuing to look at that reference photo and zoom in on it just so I can see exactly where I need to put these patches of darker fur at. Now I've got my black and I'm going in there and just filling in some more areas where I see that it needs to be. And now taking my larger brush and blending this out some, and you don't want to blend it out a whole lot because you want to keep that fur look, but you want to just soften it. So just blending it slightly to soften it up and give it that soft look. And let that dry, and now I'm going to go back and work on the eye some more, put in some more of those dark areas, brighten them up, but now that put some more definition into the area around the eye, brighten it. Again, going in there and looking at the reference photo, seeing where it has these darker areas at, darkening them up. Now I've switched back to my brown again and going back in the areas where they need to be fixed, added additional darker hairs. Adding the dark brown hairs in there in the shadowed area where they had some black fur showing through. And then going in and putting those little patches of the darker fur showing through the lighter fur. Okay, my pencil looked good, broke on me again, so I'll continue to sharpen it again. Continuing to just go in and fill in the areas, putting some more depth and some more detailing in there with those just little pieces of darker fur showing in through the lighter fur. And again, the main thing is you just want to make sure that you have your dark areas dark enough, your light areas light enough, that you have your highlights in there. Bringing in some of that brown underneath the eye. Checked my reference photo and saw that there was a little of that brown fur showing in around the eye. Again, going in with my dark brown and darkening up some of those areas now that I've gone back over it with the brown, going back over the areas where I had already put some brown down to darken them up again after putting several layers down and then blending it out. You want to go back in and put some more layers down under there to bring that fur, to really bring that fur out. Okay, now I'm going back in with that brown, bringing in those areas some more after blending it. And continuing to bring in those darker areas, those darker patches of fur, brighten them up. Bring them forward some more. Just continuing to put in those streaks of brown fur. Now I'm switching over to my Derwent Chinese white. And I'm going to go in there and put in some whites, highlights in the top of the eye, just underneath the eyelid where the light was hitting it. and brighten up that patch of white fur inside the eye. Again, continuing to brighten up the white areas of the fur, bring in those white patches of fur, brighten those up with that Derwent Chinese white. And Derwent Chinese white is definitely the best white pencil, colored pencil I have found. I've got a Caran D'ache white and this Derwent Chinese white, and this Derwent Chinese white is more opaque than the Caran D'ache Luminous white. It's much more brighter and shows up much better for highlights. Again, going in, putting in streaks of white fur at the top above the eye where there were several white streaks of just white fur showing through over the top of the rest of the fur, brightening up those areas that need to be brightened. And then I'll go back in after doing that with my white, and I will go into the eye of the lion again and with my black, and I will put some shade, just a little bit of shade underneath that pupil. Again, brightening up that highlight in the eye. Now I'll go in there with my black again and put a little shade under there, and then that will be the finished piece once I get that shade in underneath the pupil. And there's the finished piece.
Okay, this is our room that we're currently staying in at the Courtyard in Shreveport. And this is the living area. We have a suite, which we normally do not get. And it has got a large living area with a big screen TV and a desk. And then over in this area next to the doorway, where we come in, there's a big, huge counter with a sink and a mini fridge and microwave with a huge mirror above it. And then on the other side, over here across the other side of the living area, is a balcony overlooking the courtyard, which is not really a courtyard, which is strange because this is the first courtyard I've stayed at that didn't have an actual courtyard. Coming out on the balcony, as you can see the parking lot, and then this is the back, and this is their actual courtyard. It's not really a courtyard, I guess. Most of the courtyards I've stayed at was in the middle of the hotel, between the buildings. This one's in the back. So now we will go back in, look at the rest of the room. Over there you can see my laptop sitting on the desk as I've been working on video. And now in here we have the vanity area with another huge mirror and a large vanity with a sink. And then there's the bathroom. And a closet. Not very exciting, but it's a really nice room. We were surprised. The only thing that we didn't like is the water pressure. The water pressure was not very good. But this is our room, and it has another TV in here in the bedroom area. As you can see, we bring our own pillows because most of the pillows at the hotels that we stay at are not very comfortable. And that is our room. And maybe on the next trip I take, I will show you the next room that we stay at. We were supposed to be heading home tomorrow. However, unfortunately, he got a call from his boss telling us that we will need to make an emergency trip to New Orleans. So instead of going home tomorrow, we will be leaving from here to go to New Orleans, where we will hopefully are going to try and get a room at the Moxie. And if we do, I will film that for you as well and maybe show it to you in another video. Okay everybody, well I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, please go ahead and click the like button down below, and as well, if you haven't already, go ahead and click that subscribe button down there so that you will not miss any of my videos coming up in the future. Also, I hope you enjoyed this short tour of my room here in Shreveport, and as I said, we're